Please welcome to the stage Chancellor Pradeep K. Khosla, Joan and Erwin Jacobs Chancellors Endowed Chair.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for being a little bit late because typically we would have done pictures before this public ceremony, but this is one of the most important days for this campus, and it's also the most delightful day every year for me, because this is when, through recognizing people who have made a big difference on this campus, we reminisce and look at the development of this campus and how it became a great campus. And I can tell you it became a great campus then, through the years, till today, because of some really amazing faculty who were founding faculty of various departments. And even today, like the person I hired last year is wearing a founding faculty stole because the campus keeps on growing. The campus keeps on founding new departments, new schools, and new programs. So that's the beauty of this place. It's an evolutionary place. It's evolving all the time. So welcome, everybody. So let's get the program going. So like I said, this is the time and the place where we spotlight. I'm going to do a more formal reading of my remarks because it's just this occasion calls for that instead of me just being ad-libbing. And it's the time and place where we spotlight the best of our distinguished faculty. So these faculty, as I said, are exemplars of UC San Diego's culture of inter and multidisciplinary collaboration and discovery. Our faculty spend years looking for answers to questions that haven't been asked yet. Their work advances discoveries that are behind many of the most important scientific and research breakthroughs of our time. And our faculty challenge their students, our students, to ask what's next and why not, and then solve some of the biggest challenges facing our society. Our faculty deeply value the diverse perspectives that are imperative to innovative learning and groundbreaking discovery. Our faculty are extraordinary in their service to others and to UC San Diego, and the positive impact of their work can be observed, but is far too great to quantify right here today. So the Revelle Medal honorees we recognize today are brilliant problem solvers who have contributed immeasurably to the continued growth and leading global reputation of UC San Diego. They're renowned in their respective fields, and as we go through each one of them, you will see why every individual was chosen. And I can tell you that these are truly amazing 4 people we're honoring today. So these people have nurtured our students, created an environment where unlimited success is not only possible, but probable. It is their work that has set new standards, toppled old structures, uncovered new systems, and ways of seeing the world. And they have built legacies of staggering impact, groundbreaking discoveries, and shaped the next generation of researchers and scientists. So today, we honor them for these and many other accomplishments, including the sustained and extraordinary service to the UC San Diego. So, if you just look at our campus, which is only 65 years old, and ask yourselves, how can we show up in single-digit rankings in some of the most leading ranking systems in the world? I'm not saying we should be focused on rankings, but they clearly, if you show up every time in single-digit numbers in these systems, there must be something good about what we are doing and who's doing it. And who's doing it are the 4 faculty. So the 4 faculty, the people we are recognizing today are the exemplars. They're the tip of the spear. And here's another observation. So when I first started doing this, I did not know anybody. Now, everyone who's chosen, I've known them since the day I got here. So that tells you that I'm getting older. Okay, so we all will feel their impact at UC San Diego for many more years to come. And it is fitting that we honor these remarkable people in conjunction with our celebration of the founding of UC San Diego. So that's what this day is all about. And because they've embodied Roger Revelle's vision to be a university of distinctive and visionary faculty leaders, that's why the honor is the Revelle Medal. So to our medalists, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not do anything that we have done without you. So you all contributed in many, many different ways. And so it's my pleasure now to invite our Executive Vice Chancellor, Dr. Elizabeth Simmons. Please. Let me
Thanks very much, Chancellor Khosla. Well, good afternoon and welcome, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here at the Revelle Medal celebration once again to celebrate the extraordinary contributions of our faculty here in the front row in teaching, in research, and in service to our public and our communities. The dedication of our faculty has been instrumental in building UC San Diego into one of the top public research universities in the world in just a few decades. And I'm particularly proud of the public aspect because that's where we make a real difference in the widest sense, and our awardees have really put their hearts into that aspect of the mission. Now, as you know, and as the Chancellor, of course, already alluded to, the Revelle Medal is named after one of our most revered founding faculty members, Roger Revelle. And the medal symbolizes his philosophy of how great universities are created and then sustained over time. Recruit the brightest scholars and students, use the world as your laboratory, and above all, do what is important. And we continue to attract top talent, creative thinkers, innovative problem solvers, transformative leaders who do exactly that, and who are as dedicated to their scholarship and creative activities as they are to serving our communities and to educating all of the students and trainees who come here to form the next generation of scholars. So today we recognize a set of 5 UC San Diego faculty who uphold the legacy of Roger Revelle and the tradition of our founding faculty for their distinguished and visionary leadership in our university community. This is the university's highest honor, awarded to individuals for commitment to seeing past conventional boundaries that otherwise stifle innovation, to surmounting intractable challenges. Goodness knows, higher education has enough of those right now, and to shaping the futures. There are many possibilities, and they help us pick among them in ways that are really only possible here at UC San Diego. Each individual was nominated because of how they exemplify the essential values and the transformative impact that Roger Revelle brought to our campus. So congratulations to each of this year's Revelle honorees. We take real pride in your outstanding accomplishments and the unique ways that you have inspired others to excel. We're also privileged to have quite a number of our founding faculty, those who helped to bring each of the university's academic units to life over time. And we are delighted that you're here with us, given how you've helped us define new intellectual fields and new ways of learning. So on behalf of everybody at UC San Diego, thank you, founding faculty, for your contributions and your lasting legacy. Congratulations again to this year's Revelle honorees, and let me turn the podium back to our Chancellor.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. So the Revelle Medal was initiated to honor distinguished and sustained extraordinary service to UC San Diego. Like the EBC said, it's the highest award given by the Chancellor to a faculty member, and is bestowed upon faculty emeriti who have significantly advanced UC San Diego's mission. So today we are honoring 5 amazing people. They join an elite group of past honorees who, like them, have made their mark as groundbreakers, collaborators, change makers, and visionary. So it's my honor today to recognize the accomplishment of these 5 amazing faculty members. Okay, let's start, and this is alphabetical, so there's nothing with the sequencing here, okay? So don't be reading in the sequencing. Okay, our first medalist, Ed Dennis. Congratulations. So I'm going to read a little thing, then we're going to see a little video, and then after that, Ed will come and we'll give him the medal. So Edward is a distinguished university professor of chemistry, biochemistry, pharmacology, and a distinguished professor of the graduate division. Ed joined UC San Diego in 1970 as an assistant professor. He quickly distinguished himself as a leader, serving 2 terms as chair of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. He served as a chair of the Faculty Academic Senate, and he's widely regarded as a leader in the field of lipidomics. So my first introduction to lipidomics was when they had a conference in honor of Ed here, and it was amazing. The who's who of the world showed up to honor Ed and give speeches, right? So his important research has advanced understanding the role of lipids playing inflammation and many metabolic diseases. And most recently, under his leadership, the Dennis Lab developed new groundbreaking non-invasive blood test to detect fatty liver disease. This test effectively has replaced the need for liver biopsies. And Ed has authored more than 440 publications, and his relentless curiosity and commitment earned him more than 22 patents during his remarkable career. His NIH grant enabled the Lipid MAPS Consortium to evolve and advance the field of lipidomics under his leadership, and the consortium is now in its 49th year. Ed has received just about every honor one can receive, numerous recognitions, including the inaugural Fellow of the American Association of Advancement of Science. And among his acknowledgments of his impact, he has been the recipient of the Guggenheim Fellowship and the American Chemical Society Distinguished Scientist Award. And Ed, thank you for being such a great faculty member, but also thank you for being a friend and a mentor. So every so often, Ed and I walk on the beach, and he teaches me about life. So let's hear about Ed.
Ed is one of the kindest, most affable people I've ever met. He's incredibly approachable. You just ask him a question, he will absolutely give you the straight story. He has vast institutional knowledge, and he's very willing to share that with you in a very non-judgmental and very helpful way.
When I met him, Ed Dennis was already a full professor, because I understood, he told me he had been here since 1970. I was like, wow. So he's had a long and stellar career.
The best thing about Ed Dennis is that you can be open, critical, you can communicate, and it's really, intellectual communication as opposed to a personal communication. So this is what really I appreciate tremendously of Ed Dennis. And I think of him as truly a scholar, a gentleman, and a statesman.
Academically, I would say my most significant scientific contribution was to be the first to describe the detailed mechanism of action of a lipid enzyme acting on a membrane at the atomic level. I came to UC San Diego to begin my career working on understanding how enzymes work on membranes.
Ed is really unique because he's had, I think, kind of instrumental contributions of lipidomics as a field. So lipidomics is the analysis of lipids and their chemical details from predominantly biological samples using mass spectrometry.
Ed was one of the people who really brought together the initiative on lipids, mapping the entire lipidome in the human physiology. So this helped us really build a complete portrait of what human physiology is from an omics lens. And so Ed was one of the few people who really understood the power of bringing lipid biology towards describing this entire system and how it works.
I think Ed is the father, or you can say the world's expert in lipidomics. I mean, he really investigated, advanced the field, and made UC San Diego the site to train for lipids, as well as performing scholarly activity.
The future of lipidomics is really promising for science because it can now be used to follow detailed changes in the specific molecular species of the major diseases of our time obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and fatty liver diseases.
The biggest impact I think we'll see with Ed's work is in the area of fatty liver disease. Ed's lab has developed a non-invasive blood test to detect the fatty liver disease and its severity. And the hope is that this blood test will speed up the diagnosis and treatment and ultimately save lives.
UC San Diego started in 1960 as a graduate school in the sciences, and when it added a medical school, it created a pioneering, fundamental, and health science community.
Ed's been here since almost the beginning, and he has sort of founded this campus in a lot of ways. He's played a key role in creating both the undergraduate and graduate biochemistry curriculum and led the core curriculum in cell biology and biochemistry for 3 decades in the School of Medicine.
He's really championed collaborations between the main campus, where we train undergraduate students, and the medical school, where we train medical students, and research is occurring in both campuses. And he's been one of the key faculty in promoting integration of those efforts.
Serving as department chair of chemistry and biochemistry on 2 different occasions, and really serving as a bridge between the general campus and the basic sciences and the School of Medicine and the health sciences, I have been able to personally witness 55 of the 65 years of its existence.
I think his legacy will be in his contributions to the world of biochemistry and his kindness toward the university. And then after all, for all the recognitions that he has had throughout this country and the world, I think it's time, and with the Revelle Medal, for our university to recognize him for his many contributions and putting us on the map permanently as a leader in lipid biochemistry.
I am very proud to receive a medal named after such a giant in science and leadership.
Our next honoree, David Lake, who also I got to know when I first got here. I don't know if you remember that. Okay. So our next medalist, David Lake, Distinguished Professor of Political Science and Jerry Ann and Gary Jacobs Endowed Chair in Social Sciences. David is a leading scholar of international relations and political economy. He joined UC San Diego in 1992 and served 5 years as a research director at the Institute on Global Conflict and Cooperation. David also served as Associate Dean and Acting Dean of the School of Social Sciences. And he was the inaugural director of the Yankelovich Center for the Social Science Research when it opened in 2012. A prolific writer, David has authored more than 100 articles and book chapters and 6 books. His most recent scholarly work, Indirect Rule, The Making of the U.S. International Hierarchy, was published literally last year. David has contributed as co-editor of the Journal of International Organization. He is the founding chair of the International Political Economy Society and served as president of the American Political Science Association and International Studies Association. And he was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2006 in recognition of his contributions. And for all his accolades and recognition, David says that among his proudest contributions to UC San Diego is his impact on students, and that's exactly the way a faculty member should be. So he has served on a staggering 97 dissertation committees and mentored generations of doctoral students. So let's hear a little bit about David.
David is always prepared. He's always constructive. He really cares about your work, and he cares about you as a person.
He's very calm and thoughtful. He's also just extremely humble. He just wants to talk about ideas.
Many people describe David Lake as the connector. He's constantly looking for connection, constantly looking for the next great thing the department, that the university could do to build its reputation internationally.
So I have no idea why I got interested in international relations. I grew up in a small town, blue-collar town. My family never traveled outside of the state. But in high school, I was the kid who would show up early, go to the library and read the New York Times so I could get the international news. Went to graduate school and discovered all this interesting work being done in political economy and just drawn into it and felt that this was the natural thing for me to be doing.
I think one of the things that he has a reputation for is seeing the entire field of international relations. He's made a contribution in terms of our understanding of hierarchy, which is a very big deal, but he has worked on almost every topic that exists in international relations.
I'd like my work to be remembered for broadening the research program in international relations, where we started with this rather simplistic assumption that the world is anarchic. I've contributed to a change where we now understand that there's all forms of authority that exist above nation states, whether it's the sorts of hierarchies that I've written on or private authorities that are shaping how the international economy works, international institutions that are promoting and enforcing human rights. All of this sort of built out of a research agenda, moved away from the stultifying assumption of anarchy. The way I'd like to be remembered is for creating generations of new scholars who will carry on the work that we've been doing so far.
This year, in 2025, the Political Science Department is ranked number 8 among the best graduate programs in the country. The department has maintained this high ranking for a very long time, and David Lake gets a large part of how they've been able to get to that level and stay at that level for so long. He, along with his colleagues, they've attracted excellent faculty. They've built a powerful curriculum. They attract great undergraduate, graduate students. All of that comes from having a consistent vision of how an excellent department should be.
When I arrived at UC San Diego in 1992, international relations in the Department of Political Science was important, but not at the forefront of the department. I wanted to build a bigger, more respected program there.
David was really instrumental in bringing together and building bridges between GPS and the political science department.
Within a matter of years, we had probably the biggest group of faculty in international relations in the world.
This had a huge impact on the students as well, because now they get access to more faculty, to much richer education in that sense, and more mentorship.
And something I think I'm very proud of, and I think the campus should be proud of.
He either chaired or sat on dissertation committees, I think almost 100 committees. So students who've worked directly with him go on to become faculty at universities around the country, or they work for government agencies, they work for policy institutes. He maintained that relationship long after they've left UC San Diego.
It's so fun to talk about David because he's been so influential in my career. I did not know what I was getting into when I started the program at UCSD. He was my faculty mentor. I've worked closely with him since that time. He says to all of his students that the advising doesn't end when you graduate and get your PhD. And so it's been really nice to have him as someone I can talk to about basically everything in the profession.
I consider myself as a mentee ever since I started here at UC San Diego as an assistant professor. So anytime I seek his advice, he is there to provide it. This has been very helpful in terms of how I mentor students and how I think about my own commitment to the institution. So in that way, David is truly a role model for me.
He's formed a really important, really influential organization called the International Political Economy Society, which is a really dynamic place for people who study international political economy. He's been held most leadership positions that exist in the discipline. You know, I think he's been president of the International Studies Association, of the American Political Science Association. He's had numerous leadership roles at UCSD. And then in his scholarship, you know, he just keeps writing books and he keeps writing articles. He just had another one get accepted in the top journal in our field. He's somehow been able to do all of these things jointly throughout his career in a way that I think his legacy is one that covers the entire breadth of work that any of us in this type of position can do.
I'm still curious. there's so many unanswered questions that leads me to sort of get up and go to my desk every day and see if I can puzzle through and provide something of an answer.
Next, Dr. Maria Savoia. Congratulations. So, Dr. Savoia is Dean Emeritus of Medical Education at UC San Diego School of Medicine. As an alumna and tireless champion for the School of Medicine, Maria has demonstrated a deep commitment to the school and its students. She oversaw programmatic responsibilities for admissions, financial aid, student affairs, undergraduate and graduate continuing medical education, and alumni relations. I don't know, you're missing nothing. Maria is credited with leading the development of UC San Diego's Atkinson Physician Assistant Education Program, which welcomed its second cohort of students this past summer. She continues to maintain a clinical practice in the Division of Infectious Diseases, and she's an internationally sought-after speaker on topics related to medical education and infectious diseases. She has held multiple leadership positions in organizations including the National Residency Match Program and the American Medical Association. The Association of American Medical Colleges recognized her with the National Award for Exemplary Service to the Group on Student Affairs in 2006. Maria was also instrumental in developing the Gold Humanism Honor Society to recognize students, residents, and faculty who embody compassionate patient care. And in addition, she chaired the organization's National Advisory Board. So let's take a look at Maria's impact, please.
I would characterize Dr. Savoia as caring and compassionate, and she truly, truly wants to see the success of others and the success of her institution far beyond anything for herself.
She's a friend first and friendly. She's compassionate. She's very humanistic. She's an outstanding physician and an outstanding educator.
You know, no matter how challenging things are, she has a way of making you feel accomplished and encouraged. Her kindness, her generosity, and her willingness to help really is pervasive throughout the School of Medicine.
My mother and my father were both physicians. They had a family practice. My mother was the doctor for the school and the nuns, and my father was the doctor for the policemen and the firemen. I really like solving problems, and infectious disease is a lot like a mystery. It's a lot like a mystery book. It's also a nice specialty where we have something that we can do and people get better.
So I met her about 50 years ago when she arrived as a new intern. She was an excellent doctor. She just loved it. She was very interested in clinical research and in medical education.
In this research-heavy institution, her research was in education and teaching and training, and if one looks at her CV, it's as big as those who have full-time basic science research.
She was very important in curriculum reform. Harvard had already begun to experiment with small group sessions replacing lectures.
When she became first involved in the School of Medicine at a leadership position for education, they introduced clinical care, clinical exposure in the first or second year, which hadn't been before. And it changed the education significantly.
In order to make that successful, they needed an actual classroom building. And she set to work in getting the medical teaching facility built.
What was lacking for the School of Medicine prior to that building was a real home. This brought everybody together.
I wanted a space where people were comfortable, a space where they felt like they wanted to be. Our people are at the forefront of the country in terms of the standardized patient program. This SIM center is incredible.
They can build those fundamentals early on, and so surgeons can be practicing in the most realistic way possible. It allows our students and our medical trainees to practice things like physical exam, history taking, in the setting of a realistic patient encounter. The simulated patients are trained to be able to provide feedback back to the learners and really focus on that human-patient interaction and ensure that that is sort of fundamental and foundational to how our students are trained.
You have to be able to make a connection with everybody you meet, and again, to remember that you're always on the same team.
Mia was a leader in compassionate education. It's hard to define it because she was the exemplar of it. She helped found the Gold Humanism Honor Society. She helped develop coursework in communication and compassion. She was so far ahead of the time.
The student-run free clinic, the Vidai project, the clinic in Tijuana, those are wonderful opportunities for students to learn about care to the underserved, and it was important to have them integrated. We need to make this part of us, not just an extracurricular.
She wanted to retire for a while, and at each point where she said, well, I think I'm done and I'm going to retire, they asked her to stay on to just do one more thing. And the last thing that she did was to establish this physician assistant training program that will have a big impact on medical care in San Diego County.
Physician Assistant Education Program here at UC San Diego was established in 2022. Dr. Savoia was instrumental in creating this program. Her expertise and her guidance, we were able to get through a very challenging process. We really developed a curriculum here that is training PAs to work at the very top of their license so that they're able to provide the best care to patients no matter which specialty they go into.
We've had a number of alumni events, and we've had our 50th anniversary. And how many people come up to her and hug her and thank her and know her. She probably knew every student every year for 20 years. That's thousands of people that are doctors that are impacting care around the world that she has influenced. That's pretty big.
When I came here in 1976, I thought I'd be here for a couple of years and then go home. And that was a long time ago, and I'm not going anywhere, you know. My life has been about trying to make good doctors. You affect more than just your own patients. That ripple effect from having those good doctors out there is really very important. And I see those people as my legacy.
Our next honoree, Nicholas C. Spitzer. He is the Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Neurobiology. Nicholas joined, can I call you Nick? Okay. Nick joined UC San Diego in 1972, and the impact of his leadership can be seen in numerous parts of our campus. He chaired the biology department prior to its renaming as the School of Biological Sciences. He also chaired the Department of Neurobiology and the UC San Diego Academic Senate. During his extended tenure at UC San Diego, he was the co-founding director of the Cowley Institute for Brain and Mind. His leadership is not just limited to UC San Diego, though. He was a founding editor-in-chief of brainfacts.org. Facts, F-A-C-T-S. He's a member of the National Institutes of Health's Advisory Commission on Neurological Disorders and the Stroke Council. He's a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. He's a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and is a recipient of the Carl Spencer Lashley Award. Today, he continues to serve as president of the Society for Neurosciences. So let's just take a look at his amazing career, please.
Nick is enthusiastic. He is excited about all the science that's going on around him and about any success that people are having.
Nick is just a joy to work with and to be with. He has a positive attitude, a warm sense of humor.
He's just so supportive, and when things look grim, he's always there to step in and present the best side of it, while at the same time having the highest standards and rigors in his own life and his own work.
I remember when I arrived here on the campus for my first visit, John Singer was the department chairman at that time. He took me to Urey Hall. It was then the tallest building on the campus. And he said, "Nick, this is going to be a great university."
Nick was one of the first young faculty hired by our founding faculty. And like the founding faculty, he was an institution builder. He contributed to the momentum of the School of Biological Sciences and the campus, this feeling that UC San Diego had vast, unlimited potential to be the best public research university.
One of the major breakthroughs in the field that he was responsible for was showing that a neuron is not irreversibly committed from birth to making a particular neurotransmitter. A neuron makes a chemical called a neurotransmitter that it releases signal to the next neuron in the chain. And they're usually excitatory or they're inhibitory, one or the other, and you're committed that way from birth, everyone assumed. Turns out, Nick discovered and was able to prove to the world that's not true. That neurons early in development, depending on what happens to them, can be changed so they make a different transmitter from what they would normally be expected to make. This was profound and totally contrary to everything known in the field.
This transmitter switch can produce negative outcomes, negative behaviors, mental health problem. We've shown that disorders as dissimilar as PTSD, autism, drug abuse can lead to transmitter switching. And if we prevent the transmitter switch, we prevent the acquisition of those negative behaviors. So where we hope to go is to the development of treatments to either prevent or reverse transmitter switching and provide a therapy for some of these disorders. Would be very helpful.
I've seen people come out of Nick's lab, postdocs and students who have been trained impeccably, who are focused on asking major questions and addressing them through rigorous approaches. What I've seen Nick do is take a very careful, intentional approach in mentoring them at all career stages to prepare them for whatever is coming next, and they tend to be very successful people.
I taught largely undergraduates for 50 years, and I was very enthusiastic not only about promulgating knowledge about neurobiology and physiology generally, I taught many different courses, but also about the impact of higher education on life, career for the students.
Nick's commitment to mentorship and training the next generation isn't limited to those at UC San Diego or even in the field of neurobiology. He played a key role in establishing the Preuss School at UC San Diego.
When the opportunity arose to become involved in establishing a charter school that would serve 6th through 12th grade scholars from low-income families, which no one had been to a 4-year college, I thought this was going to be transformative. It was going to be truly revolutionary.
I think we can all look back at that and say that that had a huge impact on the students. The Preuss School is one of the crowning achievements of UC San Diego, broadening the pipeline of students that has propelled them to the very best universities in the nation. Nick is an outstanding collaborator. He worked with the late Jeff Ellman to found the Kavli Institute for Brain and Mind. which was a collaboration between the School of Biological Sciences, the School of Social Sciences and Cognitive Sciences, and Health Sciences as well. That effort brought together scientists from across the field to apply computational and biological approaches to understanding how the brain worked. Nick's leadership has led UC San Diego to be a leader in the field of neurobiology, neurosciences, and cognitive sciences, and it is really this one big, beautiful community that's pushing the frontiers to understand how the brain works.
Nick has had the most impressive track record in administrative leadership of anyone I know. So Nick came to UCSD in 1972 as a new assistant professor, rapidly rose up through the ranks to full professor. He was then chair of biology, which was a department at that point, twice. He then became the founding chair of neurobiology. After that, he became chair of the Academic Senate, which is a campus-wide organization. Most recently, he's taken on the role of being the president of the Society for Neuroscience, which is a giant scientific organization that runs an annual meeting where 30 to 40,000 people attend every year. This year it's going to be in San Diego. We're all very excited.
And this in the most difficult times for science, you know, about all the funding problems in Washington, the uncertainty. Nick stepped up to the plate again, and he's the guy who could do the best job.
My greatest legacy, it'll be for the teaching and service that I've done and the influence that I've had on the next generations of scholars graduating from UC San Diego.
Our next medalist, Tony Yaksh. Congratulations. He has built a legacy in the School of Medicine. He's a distinguished professor emeritus of anesthesiology and pharmacology. Tony has dedicated more than 50 years to researching the mechanisms of spinal pain management. He has been continuously involved in National Institutes of Health-supported research throughout his career, exploring the mechanism of pain and analgesia. Following service in the U.S. Army Chemical Corps and a professorship at the Mayo Clinic, Tony joined UC San Diego in 1988. His influence on the field is far-reaching. He's published more than 900 papers and served as a mentor for more than 160 fellows. He has been credited with 46,000 citations in more than 20,000 papers, and his impact is widely acknowledged. He's been recognized with numerous and prestigious honors, among them the American Society of Anesthesiologists Award for Excellence in Research. He was recognized with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the North American Neuromodulation Society, and he received the John J. Bonica Prize for Distinguished Lifetime Achievement in the Basic Science of Pain from the International Association for the Study of Pain. So let's take a look at Tony's accomplishments, please.
So what stands out most about Dr. Yaksh is his ebullient personality, and he clearly has an infectious enthusiasm for science that really is a natural vortex for everyone around him.
Tony has a remarkable combination of being a brilliant scientist and also a very warm and caring person.
To have worked with Tony is to have picked up some of his enthusiasm for research, his intellectual rigor. You gain the knowledge or the feeling that we're all helping each other to advance our common goals. And it's not my career, it's our common goals that matter.
Hi, I'm Tony Yaksh, and I am in the Department of Anesthesiology and Pharmacology here at UCSD. I've been here since 1989. I've been sitting in the same office, behind the same desk, in the same secretary's chair since that day.
Tony is incredibly prolific. He has 800-something publications, his H-index is 110. I mean, he is just a force of nature.
Tony has had a worldwide impact. Tony recruited me. They were setting up a pain center. The center was set up to have basic scientists and clinicians working together so that the science and practice of pain medicine could be advanced in the best possible way. Tony was one of the first ones showing that there were opiate receptors in the spinal cord and you could give drugs spinally to block pain. Tony did his work in animals, but then fairly quickly, people he collaborated with gave these same shots to people and found out it worked. And it was just a life-changing force for these people in horrible chronic pain.
That was really the start of where I really got into the pain business, and really it became passion, if you will.
People were giving drugs and saying, okay, does this work? But nobody was saying, what are the long-term repercussions? Because nobody had ever given drugs spinally before. And Tony took it upon himself to say, I'm going to do quality control and safety testing of all the drugs people were giving spinally to show. And that kind of thoroughness is what affected my work and impressed me the most about Tony.
Almost at every point, I have been blessed with having somebody there that has given me the opportunity, and I think of the word pay it forward as being a prime directive. All of these people are part of this group. I kind of back off and I kind of think to myself, it's kind of like we're all in this together on a dark plane, and it's nothing but fog out there. And every one of these people in this group, linking arm in arm, pushing back the darkness. Because 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This worked, that didn't work, failure, this or that. I mean, we're just wrought with that. And I like to have the fellows think that we're all in this together.
Tony's legacy is really in all of the other scientists that he has touched in terms of training, collaborations, and advancing their thinking. So he has a huge diaspora that he has created of the next generation of leaders and probably the generation after that.
So working in Tony's lab as a student was amazing. So we had a lot of freedom to explore our ideas, and the excitement around research and moving science forward was there in the hallway every day. Whenever we had a new question that we wanted to explore, it seemed like he knew everyone. And he never hesitated in just picking up the phone and call someone. And that really taught me it's better to work together than trying to solve these issues alone. I don't think that he ever have done science to write another paper or, get another award. It has always been because he really wants to change things so that we can make real impact.
He's really continued to be an entrepreneur. He's continued to do basic science, and he has continued really to advance the field technically as well as intellectually. So his imprint is going to really last a long time.
I love that feeling. I just love the feeling of being part of that team of people that are so smart and so dedicated. And in my little way, I'm playing my little part of it.
Okay, one more time. Congratulations to 5 amazing people who helped build UC San Diego. Please, one more time. Give them a big hand.